Hello, welcome to my shop. This is Josh here. Today's video, I'll be doing more paint work on my C10 project, and it should be the wrap-up of the paint. So all I've got left is the two step side fenders here, the little side steps. I've got to paint the front fenders as well, and then out in the paint booth area in the driveway, I've got the doors sitting out there. So I had painted yesterday, just kind of a quickie job, the panels that are on the last of the interior stuff. So I got this glove box lid, got that painted up before I put the actual plastic box on there, and I've got to modify that for clearance for a vintage air system, which I've got another video. Got the camera set up over there from it, but got a vintage air unit sitting underneath the dash there for air conditioning. But I also got the ashtray painted up. Not that I'll be smoking, but I've got a nice cup holder that goes in that thing, and I'll replace the cigarette lighter outlet with a USB charging port for my phone, so that'll be nice. But I got a few panels left to do. The mounting brackets for these tail lights I need to get modified to meet up with these bedsides. So turns out the bedsides that I have are drilled and the nuts welded in place for an earlier style square body tail light setup, which is like 73 to 76 or so, and then in 77 they went to a bigger tail light. So this one's kind of a rounded over rectangle, and the older one was a circle, and the bracket changed. So in the older circle one, it was a smaller, thinner bracket that extended out this way and had kind of a diagonal mounting holes. And then for the newer style, they had like one bolt that came in from the side here and interfaced, and then like here and here would be the holes. So I'm not going to put the older style taillights on here because I actually like the bigger light here, and because I don't have the side reflectors or anything, there's a smoothed off step side bed, and if you had the reflector, it'd be like right here, kind of vertical. Since I don't have that, I want to have the reflector that goes on the bigger tail light here. So yeah, I was holding it up and like, how is this supposed to mount? And I realized it was the wrong piece. But I've got a metal tab that I'm going to weld on to this surface as an extension, and then drill to match these two holes, and I'll use that hole right here, and I might weld this one up, I don't know. But I'm gonna do that bracket mod and fab work in between doing the white color paint that I'm gonna get on this morning. And while that's curing and drying, I need to give it some time before I tape it. So while that's curing, I'll get this done, and then I'll get the wet sanding done for those little side steps for the bed, because those are just getting blue color. But anyway, I'm going to show you the paint booth setup that I got. So whenever I did the cab earlier, I did it here in the garage, as well as the tailgate and stuff. But now that I have this thing, you know, nice, I don't want overspray in here as well. I'm tired of covering everything up with the drop cloths and stuff. So I have a 10 by 20 foot carport that I bought specifically for this purpose, to make a little paint booth out here in the driveway. And I put some plastic sheeting and just taped the heck out of it with the duct tape, so Red Green would be proud of me. But here's the doors. I put the single stage blue on the inside yesterday on the doors, but I didn't put any clear coat on it because everything that's on the inside surface of the cab, I didn't put clear coat on it when I painted the inside of the cab last winter, so I'm gonna have everything kind of match the exact same colors and textures without having the clear coat on it. But got a nice kind of roomy paint booth in here in the driveway. I'm gonna put another sheet of drop plastic on the ground to keep from having overspray land on the concrete, and then keep any dirt that's still on the ground from flying up. But last thing I got to do to get the paint booth assembled is cut some square holes on either end here, left and right side. I've got two filters that I'm going to put, like home air furnace filters, that I'll tape onto the end, and I got a box fan for each side that will draw some air through the side here, and kind of open flap on this side to come draw the air in the other way. So I'm going to put a little piece of tape on there and kind of make a hinged flap, but I left it loose so I could lift it up to get the panels and stuff in and out on the stands without having to carry stuff in there. So anyway, a lot to do today, so I'll quit blabbing. Do a thrash on the wet sanding on those bedside fenders to get those finished up, and we'll start getting ready for paint. that gets the white paint on. I had this thing taped, had to add a little extra tape line to keep it from pulling in and wanting to touch stuff. So yeah, this is going to be interesting. I might need to do another little shuffle in there to be able to get around everything with the blue paint when it's time to put that on, because where the doors are now, it doesn't look like I'll be able to get around them when I pull that tape off. Yeah, so I'll have to shuffle these things around somewhere. But yeah, the little paint booth is working nice. The stuff seemed to lay on pretty smooth, and since I'm in here instead of in the shop, I don't see the dust issue that I was having with the truck when I painted the cab. So got the white on, then we'll come back later and tape off my 15-inch line that I have on the cab to match on everything. But laid down pretty smooth. I don't know if it showed up on camera, I'll have to take a look, but it felt like it wasn't quite as foggy in here. Still a little bit, but better with that new Black Widow paint gun, that high transfer efficiency or whatever. Yeah, when I mixed the paint and came back out here, scooting underneath the door, that little flap, must have bumped the gauge, because I come over here and I start putting on a coat on this door closest to the fan, and I worked against the flow of the air so that the overspray from other areas would land on wet surfaces and kind of melt in, instead of working from that end and then over towards the fan where it would have all the dry spray as kind of like a base coat on stuff before you put the wet on there. That's the recommendation I got. But anyway, I'd come over here and I've been painting at 25 psi, and it was at like 15 or 18, so I could see it was coming out a little slower. It wasn't as noisy and a little gloopy, blobby, so I adjusted the air pressure back up to 25, and it laid down real nice and smooth. So I really like how that Eastwood single stage and the clear lays down with the new paint gun at 25 psi. It looks great. So anyway, now I'm gonna let this thing work like a greenhouse with the sun beating on it, hold a little heat, and let these panels just sit here and dry for a couple of hours. So I'm gonna move on to making the brackets to hold the tail lights while this stuff is drying, and then also get the wet sanding on those side steps done, and really just give it 4 or 5 hours or so out here to dry up before I tape it off, because I'm really kind of leery and wary of taping it off with the paint just a little too soft. So the surface will be dry to the touch, you know, where you won't leave like a fingerprint or anything on it. If you touch it in 15 or 20 minutes, it like flashes off with this single stage. But it'll be soft to like the fingernail for a couple of days until it really fully cures up. But the recommendation and what I'd done when I did the cab and the tailgate was to lay down the white and then let it sit for like 8 hours overnight, and then come back the next day. And while I let it sit in there, I had the heat cranked up in the garage, so it was actually up pretty warm. So like I said, it's kind of sticky warm in here compared to outside and in the garage. It's just a little cooler day, but the plastic and stuff is making a nice little greenhouse and warming it up in here. So I hope that dries this stuff out a little quicker, and we'll let this stuff harden up enough where I can get it all taped off and everything. So anyway, I'm gonna go inside for a second, grab a bite to eat, and I'll come back and we'll get going on the bracket modifications. All right, while I'm waiting for the paint to dry so I can get the masking done, I'm going to go ahead and get the other bracket up to the same level that I've got this one, and then weld them and kind of make my mirror images. So let's see if I can make it a little more clear what we got going on. So this particular bracket would use the upper hole here to that one, and should have a lower one that matches. And this one it doesn't, because it's for a different bedside. If you notice, this inner tab also is touching. When I'm trying to line the upper hole up, it's actually making contact. So I also need to trim that little tab right there off so that I can get this bracket sucked in even closer to fit with that hole. Now, since I've cut that tab off, it'll no longer have 3 points of contact with one out of plane to keep it locked in. But with the extension welded on, I'm going to drill 2 holes to match these 2 holes on either side. And that will give 3 points of contact in plane with this kind of out of line. And that'll keep it all locked in. If you had like 3 holes in a line, if something could still wobble because it would make a hinge. But if you have them in kind of a triangle shape, it locks everything together on a face. So that's what I got going on here. So this is the bracket for the driver's side, and I've actually got 2 of them identical, so I'm going to use one as the parts bracket, and the other one is the base one. So first off, I'm going to trim off the pieces that I need. So I'll score my donor bracket and get the donor tab that I need cut off of there, and I'll also get the base bracket. Let's cut the little third mounting hole that I won't be using this time. So when I cut this tab, I know how to make sure that I'm angled correctly in the garage so I'm not throwing sparks directly on top of a freshly painted surface here. So I'm kind of pointing them off towards the door. Get that rounded over and smoothed off nice. I'm still debating whether I want to leave this upper portion or actually trim the bracket off so it just sits sideways. It was supporting that drop down tab. Now it's just kind of going to be covering over the top of the lens, but I still think it's going to give a nice, a little more finished look to it. So I think I'm going to leave that upper tab just bent over. Even though it's not supporting anything, it'll just protect stuff from hitting it from the top. And, you know, if for whatever reason, if someone decides to step on that to jump up into bed, which they shouldn't, but it'll be more stout and be able to withstand it. stick it over here. It's going to be a little bit offset because those holes drop down a little bit, but think about that far. I'll try and finish it off where it looks nice. There, that almost full penetration, at least half that weld. I'm still going to lay it in on this side. Woo! Still got it. Set this one down to cool and get the next one welded up. We got some high build primer on there. We got this one pretty smooth. That one has a lip from welding, but you know what? I'm going to be plenty happy with it. That's going to be tucked up, and that one's on the passenger side, but it's basically going to be tucked up right there. Going to have the fender here kind of jutting out this far. You're really not going to see it, so it's going to be out here. So I'm fine with that. Got some on both sides. I'll let that dry a little bit, put another layer on. I can sand that down. It's kind of a sandable one. So that's good to go. Now I just have these two pieces right here, the little step to a wet sand, and then I think I'll be far enough along I can tape off the two-tone color on all these panels. So they've been sitting in here for several hours. I can touch it. There's no stickiness to it. I mean, it's already been like 3 hours out here since I did it. The light was coming through that side when I got done. Now it's coming through on the other side, so that lets you know a little bit how long it's been. And that's looking good. So I should be able to get that taped by the time I get done wet sanding, which will be another, I don't know, 30-45 minutes, something like that. Take a little bit of time, but I won't bother showing that. I'll just pick that back up when I'm ready to start taping off here. Alright, time to start taping these lines out. So I've got a 1/4 inch fine line tape, and I'm going to start off on these doors just taping off the body line, the straight line here. When doing that, make sure that you put the tape on the side of the body line that you want to cover. I did that wrong once, where I put it on and realized I taped on the wrong side of the line. I'm going to do that line on the doors and the fenders. I'll show. I want from the peak down to be masked off, so same thing here. Put the tape on this side, not that side. So I'd made that mistake before. it around, and I'm going to come and do a radius on the front edge of this. So brought it forward, but right at this transition here, I'm going to turn it and go down. So I just left a pigtail here, and I'll come back and put the radius on that after I put the tape on this one. Since I don't have the panels all bolted together, I'm just trusting that I can align the panels with shims or whatever whenever I put it together, such that it'll actually the line will meet up from door to fender and such. Leave that pigtail up for now. Alright, next part is the lower line here. So I'd taken a measurement earlier, and yeah, I've got 15 inches from the top of the line to the bottom. So I'm going to go just double check that measurement again on the cab, how tall I got my stripe, and then come back out here, measure it out, and just put a little mark with a pencil on the edge, and then get my tape to line up to that. And the same thing on this side. Since it kind of swoops, I'll have to, you know, start over, say, an inch and come down and measure however far I got to go over, so it's kind of a straight down. I'm gonna get that razor blade. All right, do a little peek here. It's looking pretty good. I like how this vinyl tape turns. So here we go. Just gotta duplicate it on this one, and then I'll do the same edge distance right here on this part and around there, and just have this white, and everything else is going to be blue. So this is the only portion of the, like that one surface right there is going to be white, and everything else is going to be blue. And on this one, I'm going to raise the chain link up a few positions, then pick this thing up and turn it lengthwise, which will drop it down a little lower. So I'll have these links to raise it up just a little bit, so that I can paint this lip all the way around. So yeah, I'll finish getting everything taped off, and then wipe down and swap back over whenever I get ready to put the paint down. Well, I've got all of the colors masked off. It is dark. Wound up taking close to 2.5 hours just because of matching the curves instead of just doing straight across. I wanted the band of color here on the curves. So yeah, that was really slow. So I've got good light here, you know, with those flood lamps there. I can see well enough in here. I feel pretty good about it. So it's a little cool, but it's no colder really than when I painted earlier. So I'm gonna grab some rags, some microfiber cloths and stuff that I've got, and get some denatured alcohol and get everything wiped down. There's a decent amount of dust on stuff. I'm gonna grab the water container, got their little sprayer. I'm gonna go ahead and wet the floor down. When I was painting out here before, I tore down the paint booth whenever I did the just the solid blue colors last weekend, because I couldn't get the overspray off everything. So that's why I rebuilt the booth. But yeah, I'm gonna get everything wiped down, go in there, mix up some paint, put on my Tyvek suit, and really get hammering at it. So I'm gonna set this thing up in the corner. It's probably gonna be not be as good a shot as I was initially planning on doing, just because of the time crunch I'm in. So I got the white paint on, and I've got an 18-hour recoat window, but this is Sunday and I got to work tomorrow, so I don't have time to just put it off and wait till tomorrow, especially not with the tape on there, putting it on as soft as it was on the paint. So yeah, I just gotta plow through here and get this all finished up right now. So I'll set the camera up in the corner and we'll see what we can see, and get this thing painted. Well, it's after work the next day. I left all the panels out here kind of be protected in the carport. I checked on it in the morning. They didn't have any dew or frost on them. I left the fans going overnight to pull enough moving air through, hoping that would keep that from building up, and it looks like it has. But yeah, everything's looking pretty good. I was pleasantly surprised I didn't really have a whole bunch of drips and runs all over the place, because the temperature just started to plunge after the sun went down, and I was all running behind. But yeah, one little blemish right here where the paint got past the tape, and another one right here, just a little light blow. I ran out of time for getting everything in clear coat last night, but that will allow me to kind of level and wet sand, like color sand all this stuff down, and then put a clear coat on a little later. But it'll allow me to clean up stuff like that. But yeah, everything's looking pretty good. I think I had a couple of drops come out of my mask from just water right here. So yeah, you can see a few of them in the reflection there. Otherwise, the finish looked really good. I was like, right at the end, I was like, what are these droplets? Oh no, that's my condensation in the mask. So that was annoying, but I'll color sand that out a little later before I clear coat over that, and that'll get that good. But didn't have any white or any blue on the white on the door here, and driver door's looking pretty good. And then I put the fender and the passenger door up together just so I can kind of get a look at how that paint line looks. I know I'm gonna have to get everything shimmed and aligned on the truck right. Hopefully I can get that lined up pretty good. But just wanted to have a look at how it goes. So I'm really pleased with it. So I did have one drip and sag area, and that was right here along this edge. So I had sprayed up to get to this surface, which you'll see when you raise the hood, and it kind of put a spray on the edge here, and you can see from about here to here there's a little bit of a sag. So color sanding that, I can bring that level down. There's two little drips right here, and I'd actually touched it with my finger to pull the drip off onto my finger, and that did help and shrink it up a bit. Yeah, I got one little blow right there, and it came through the I guess there was a pinhole in my tape, or in the masking film. But other than that, it's looking pretty good. So I was hoping to get everything done and in clear coat yesterday, but I just started losing so much time and everything. But it'll actually give me a head start, because for the rest of the truck, I didn't color sand the single stage before clear coating. I did color and then clear, so it would cross-link together chemically. But for those panels, I'm just not going to be able to put clear directly on it, because it's outside the recoat window, and this will give me a little time to do some paint correction anyway. So I anticipate the clear going on a little smoother than it did on the other panels. So where when I cut and buff these panels, I'll be cutting the clear and then buffing it. On the other ones, depending on how smooth it goes, I might be able to just buff what's there. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll be cutting those twice, but we'll just see how it goes down the road. But anyway, I have all the panels done and painted now, and that's what I was most caring about. So I can start some assembly. The bed, I can go ahead and mount the rear sill, put the strips in here. I need to stain the wood, so I might do that as another video here. Do the wood stain and getting the bed put together. I need to grab the engine transmission and plop that in before I put the doghouse back on, because I don't want to worry about having my hoist and everything up over a fender and scuff or scratch anything. So one of those videos will be the next one coming up, either working on the wood for the bed or dropping the engine transmission combo in here. But anyway, got some exciting stuff coming up, and I think I can start putting out videos a little faster now that I'm done with the majority of all the sanding and body prep and all that kind of stuff. So thanks for watching, everyone, and stay tuned for all the future work we got coming up on the channel.